Jai Hind, Namaste. Welcome to Galp Taru, the Tree of Stories, which is a celebration of Indian folktales. If this is your first time on the channel, then heartiest welcome. And for those who are a regular, let's get going. The Punjabi language has ruled the hearts of whole of India and Canada. And it has also traveled far wide to countries like Australia, New Zealand, Italy, and United Arab Emirates. And I'm not even talking about the kind of influence it has on Great Britain. When my friend traveled from Lucknow to London, on landing at the Heathrow airport, he was so swamped by the Punjabi-speaking people over there that for a minute he thought that instead of reaching London, he has landed in Ludhiana. This is a remarkable feat for the Punjabi language to achieve in Britain because initially the Britishers never even considered Punjabi to be a language. As early as 1862, in a correspondence between the Director of Public Instruction and the Commissioner of Delhi, when they wanted to discuss about what is going to be the official language of correspondence, instruction and education, they disregarded Punjabi because they looked at it as merely a dialect of Urdu, which was not in a good form and fast dying out. Oops, such poor regard for a language. And look at them today. The British Broadcasting Service has a special service dedicated to the Punjabi language alone. Okay, they sometimes call it the Punjabi language, but we can live with that. As Indians, since our childhood, the moment we hear the name Punjab, we know that we are talking about the land of five rivers. To add to this, we need to look at the term a little bit more closely. It's Punj and Ab. Punj is the Persian word for five waters, and five is also Panch in Sanskrit and Pente in Greek. So because this land has also had close interactions with these two other languages as well, so the land got the first of its name as Punj, and Up is the Sanskrit word for bringing it all together, the cognate. And so the name of the state became Punjab. Five waters, meaning the five tributaries of the Indus River. Punjabi is mainly written in two scripts, the Gurumukhi and the Shahmukhi. The Sikhs and the Hindus write in the Gurumukhi script, which is derived from the Landa alphabet, which has its roots in the Brahmi alphabet, and this is written from left to right. The Muslim population use the Persian Nastaliq alphabet, and so they write it from right to left. The Punjabi language has many dialects. This, and this one is known as this one. Of all of these dialects, the one dialect which is common between the Punjabi spoken in India and our neighboring country is Majhi. The Punjabi language is believed to be even older than the English language, with the first poet of the language, Fariduddin Ganj Shakar, coming onto the scene in the 1100s, whereas the English guys came onto the scene only in the 1300s. But look at the British administrators. They had the audacity to disregard Punjabi even as a language. Talking about the literary treasure that we have in the Punjabi language, the poetry is mostly Sufi in nature, and the prose consists of Janam Sakhis, Gissas and Vars. Janam Sakhis are the stories on the life and legend of the holy Guru Nanak Dev. Gissas are stories of love, passion, betrayal, social values, and more importantly, they are stories of the common man's revolt against the larger system. And the Vars are heroic ballads. They talk about heroism shown in fights in wars, and they are mostly verbally narrated, so it's part of their oral tradition. And some of the most well-known Vars in the Punjabi language are Nadir Shah Diwar, Janganama and Chandi Diwar. They've all been written between the 1660s and the 1860s in a period of 200 years. Riddles are also considered to be a very important part of the Punjabi culture. In fact, the ability to answer or crack a riddle is considered to be a measure of your intellectual capacity. And so not only is it a form of entertainment, but in important situations like during a wedding, to check the intellectual capacity of the bridegroom, the bride's party often poses lots of riddles to the groom. In 1809, when the Treaty of Amritsar was signed between Maharaja Ranjit Singh and the East India Company, it led to a cultural division of Punjab. In the region that came under Ranjit Singh, there were two subdivisions. The Muslim populace, they produced literature which was Sufi in nature, secular, mystical, and the Sikhs and the Hindus, they had more inclination towards the Braj Bhasha, the Braj classicalism, though later on they completely dropped that and adopted and full-fledgedly started using the Punjabi language. On the other side that came under British control, changes were being made to facilitate Christianization and modernization. In fact, it would be not wrong to say that they were going hand in hand, one influencing the other. For instance, the printing press was set up. Definitely the printing press was a sign of modernity, but the press was used to bring out printed copies of the translated version of the Bible. In this case though, the printing press was set up in a town called Serampur in West Bengal, far away from Punjab. But the Bible that came out of that was in the Punjabi language. It was the translated version of New Testament and was titled Parameshwar De Shubh Vachan. Then in 1849, the annexation happened following the Second Anglo-Sikh War, and we all know that Punjabi was not accorded the official status as a language, as the official language. It was not designated, and instead it had Urdu being imposed on them, and so it continued. But it's noteworthy that the revolt of 1857 was indeed recorded in poetic form in the Patialvi dialect of Punjabi by a poet. He was Ghazan Singh, and he composed 101 stanzas recording the fight that occurred in the Delhi region, the Delhi section of 1857, and this long poem is titled Jangnama Delhi. And then in 1858, the country officially became part of the British Empire, and that meant the incoming of a lot of British administrators as part of the Indian civil service that was set up. And these administrators were not just focused on the administration, but they also came with backgrounds in literature, anthropology, grammar, linguistics, lexicography. And because of this, not only did it help them in improving their administrative skills, as Indians, on the Indian side, it helped in documenting a lot of stuff which was otherwise passed on from one generation to the other only verbally. For instance, folktales. In this regard, the contribution of Sir Richard Carnac Temple is quite noteworthy because he played a very important role in inspiring few other Indians to go ahead and put in writing some of the very precious folktales. So those of you who have watched the curtain raiser for the Folktales of Bengal, you would have known that the person who did the writing of the Bengali folktales was actually inspired and asked to do so by Sir Richard Temple, who at that point in time was posted in Bengal. During the course of his posting, Sir Temple was given a role in Punjab. Now, speaking of Sir Richard Temple specifically, he was an army officer, an Oriental scholar, an administrator, and also an aristocrat. And while he commanded the British Army during the Anglo-Afghan War, the Anglo-Burmese War, then he was again appointed as the Chief Commissioner of the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. His heart actually lay in activities away from administration. He was connected with the Royal Anthropological Society and also the Folklore Society. And because of that, he was more interested in understanding people from their stories point of view, the kind of internal narrative that they had in that region wherever he was posted to. Eventually, when he had come about to live and work in Punjab, by the way, he was also born in India, in Allahabad. So when he came to Punjab and started his work, he devoted his time and energy towards gathering Folktales of Punjab. He was also the editor of Indian Antiquary, a periodical that came out at that period of time. You can say it was the equivalent of some of the magazines that we have today. He used to publish them over here, on the Indian Antiquary. Now, in course of this work, he came across a lady writer, Flora Annie Steele. She was married to a civil servant, Henry Steele, and Henry Steele was posted in Punjab. So there was a lot of commonality, work in the civil service, interest in folk tales. So she was also collecting folk tales. She had an interest in Indian culture, and she would write back to her friends and relatives in Britain about the Punjab, the city that she was living in, the people that she was interacting with. So she knew that there was a lot of interest back in Britain for the culture, the language, and everything else that was part of this new country that they were posted in. So that's how a friendship flourished between the two, and she was already publishing the folk tales in other newspapers and magazines of that time, like the Calcutta Review and of course the Indian Antiquary. And so they got together and they came up with this book, Folktales of Punjab. And guess what? They had a partner as well to do the illustrations, and it was none other than the father of Rudyard Kipling, John Lockwood Kipling. He was deputed by the government to tour Punjab. He was actually an art teacher. He had nothing to do with administration. He was completely an arts person, and he did a lot of mosaic curation. So he was good with this. He was the best bet for both Flora Annie and Sir Richard Temple to get together and publish this book. And while this book is a bit out of print or very highly priced, if at all you're going to buy it, the digital copy is available in some of the libraries. So if you want to just Google it up and read, you can do that. Alternately, of course, that is Galp Taru. You can always watch the Punjabi folktale on this channel. But you see, you may want to look at other folktales, and when you Google for folktales of Punjab, the one story that comes out more frequently or popularly is that of Bopolochi. And Bopolochi is a very sweet story about a strong young girl who fends off the villains who are trying to kill her and do bad things to her, and she not only exposes them, but she also ends up saving herself. So that's a wonderful story. But on this channel, we like to bring the little known stories which are equally interesting. So Bopolochi is parked for some time in the future. In this episode, or rather in the actual episode, folktale episode that's going to come up next, we are going to present or learn or watch the folktale in another country. And now comes the most special and important part of this episode, where I want to take time to thank my super sweet and most supportive fan, 7-year-old Nitya, who I'm very happy to announce as the fan of the year. She has been watching every single story, every single episode of Galp Taru. Only 7, and with limited access to YouTube. She has to depend on her mother to show her the videos, yet she never gives up. Her mother tells me that the moment she gets to know that a notification for a new story has come, she does not let her mother rest until her mother allows her to watch the entire story. Oh, that's so sweet. And what's even better is that she has once left a voice message for me saying how much she enjoys it. And you know, sometimes as creators, we wonder if what we are doing has any meaning. Is anybody even watching? Because when you are new onto the scene, you don't always have that high level of confidence. So when somebody sitting far away in New Delhi sends a message that they eagerly keep waiting for your stories, that's when it really hits hard, that how much of an impact we can have on a 7-year-old. I literally get goosebumps when I think about it. So every time I feel that maybe I should stop doing this, maybe I should do something else, this doesn't make sense, I'm wasting everybody's time, I think of little Nitya's message, and then I get motivated to come up and continue with this work. Little bit about Nitya. She is a nature lover, deep believer in God, loves asking questions about nature, and enjoys listening to stories about baby Krishna and Sudha Murti. And of course, Galp Taru is her favorite. So, Nitya, this one is for you. Thank you so much. So, dear little Nitya, I want to take this opportunity to let you know how honored and privileged I am to have you as my friend and fan. And thank you for all the love and support that you have given me and all the stories. My prayers and best wishes to you. Have a wonderful Christmas and a brilliant New Year 2023. And finally, it's time to make way for the folktale. We already know Punjab through the Golden Temple, Amritsari kulcha and murg, and the Wagah border, and of course, the Bhangra and the Punjabi pop. Now, let us look at the region through the lens of the folktales. I'll see you soon. Till then, take care. Vande Mataram.